Round 2 podcast, sharing stories of entrepreneurship, major pivots, and life-changing moments. This week, I was joined from Australia by Andy Anderson, and this guy's story of entrepreneurship is truly inspiring. He has had so many different types of businesses that have been successful, and unfortunately, the COVID shutdowns really got in the way of what he was doing. But because he is ever the optimist, he was able to pivot and is now onto something even bigger and better, and he was so much fun to talk to. If you don't leave this podcast inspired, I don't know what to tell you because Andy's energy is unlike any other that I have ever spoken to. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you again for being here and listening. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. I would love to hear it. And it really does help with the old algorithm. So if you would subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it forever. Enjoy this week's episode and we'll talk to you soon. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Round 2 podcast. I am your host, Nikki Corbett, and I am very excited to introduce you to my guest today. He is coming to us. Here's something that I've always wanted to say from down under. Andy Anderson, welcome to the Round 2 podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. Love your work. Really excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So I was laughing when we were getting all of this organized because when we first started communicating about you being on the show, I was in Europe and I think I was about 7 hours behind you. And now I'm in California and you're now 19 hours ahead of me. So it's just been time zone chaos and trying to figure out what day is what when we were getting this scheduled.
That's true. The future's bright for you, though. I'll let you know that. Okay.
Yeah. How's Thursday? It seems to be going well.
Right, exactly.
Well, great. Well, so let's just dive right into everything. So I obviously have done a little bit of research about you. You have a background in fitness and fitness competitions, and you have a coaching business. And I believe you also told me that you own some actual brick and mortar gym facilities, or you did at some point in your journey as an entrepreneur. So let's dive right in. What made you choose the life of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think that I always had a desire to I guess run my own life, be in control of my own destiny. My dad had his own businesses, wasn't very successful. He found it hard to focus, but he did live a life of somewhat entrepreneurship. But I always loved just seeing him run his own ship and being in control of his own life. That was probably the first motivator for me. But I got really motivated in my early 20s where I wanted to launch my own gyms and become really the guru in the fitness space was my big vision and goal. And so I went out and I raised capital at 24 years old.
Hey, good for you.
$500,000 for my first gym and launched that. And then that gym turned into 18 gyms over a period of time. And then from there, had the capacity to launch cafes and restaurants, a nightclub and some media businesses, a TV show, and the list goes on. But it all started just with the desire to sort of do more, be more, make an impact and really see what I'm capable of as well. I'm always intrigued and curious of how far I can push myself.
Well, I love that. And okay, you've had multiple lives, it seems, within all of these different buckets of businesses. I mean, restaurants, nightclubs, physical fitness, like all of those things require a lot to make happen and make successful. And 18 gyms, which part of Australia were those all located in?
Yeah, so we had them all over. Victoria was the main state that we were in, but we were also in Sydney and Queensland. And so it was sort of spread right across Australia.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. And do you still own those gyms?
No. So long story short, during COVID, we were closed in Victoria for almost 3 years. It was actually globally, we had the longest lockdown in the world. It was insane.
Yes.
And so unfortunately, I had to close a lot of the gyms down there. I had to close the restaurant and clubs and my food prep business as well. Because we couldn't operate. It was that simple. So, we took a big hit during that period of time. But yet again, another opportunity to reinvent myself and do the next thing. So during that period, I had to pivot and bring a lot of my businesses online. And that's where I launched Relentless Education, Change Labs, which is my online wellness company, and took a different path from that point forward.
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love hearing about the pivot, because that's certainly one thing that comes up with a lot of entrepreneurs. And it can be something that can be difficult for entrepreneurs, because when they're so invested, so much time, blood, sweat, tears, capital has gone into either an idea or a business, and getting it there, and then having to make that tough decision to say, like, hey, this obviously like isn't working anymore. And I mean, you weren't really even given a choice. It's not like you were like, oh, we got to try something new to make this work. You literally couldn't be open.
Yeah, totally. Look, it was a tough time. There's no doubt about it. It was the most challenging period of my life. There's
I
absolutely
bet.
no question around that. I think mainly, I mean, obviously, I lost a lot of money, so it was a challenging financial situation. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of, I had so many staff across all these companies and
Yeah.
had franchisees under me, etc. It was hard on the ego. It was hard
Mm-hmm.
on the mind and the heart and the soul, and I just felt really
Mm-hmm.
responsible as well. It's hard not to, even though I didn't create the lockdowns, but you can't
Of
help but
course.
feel like you need to do something. So it was challenging. I also found it so interesting to now looking back. My identity was so tied to that brand because it was my
Mm-hmm.
first baby. I had
Mm-hmm.
all my vision and my dreams, my blood, sweat, and
Yeah.
tears went into that. I risked everything to make that company grow. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had to go through this dark night of the soul out in the desert, really like
Yeah.
find myself and rethink the vision and figure out what I wanted to do next. But I will say this for everybody out there, if you continue to move forward, no matter what, it will always be
Mm-hmm.
better. And I look back
Yeah.
now, and it was the best freaking thing that ever happened to me because the business models that I have now absolutely surpass what I had previously in every facet and every way. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so happy that I am now where I am. But
Mm-hmm.
in the moment, you don't see that, you don't realize it. So sometimes you just have to have faith that the universe or God is going to direct you in the right direction.
No, I so relate and can just see your passion, and everything that you said is just so true. And you're in the moment of something, and failure is another topic that comes up a lot on this podcast, because failure truly is one of the greatest teachers. And but when you're stuck in the middle of it and you're sitting here, and in your case, I don't necessarily know that I would call it failure, because again, it wasn't your choice. Like you got to a point where your back was against the wall, and you're like, okay, like the money's going to run out at some point, so we have to make some tough decisions. But still, to have to let go of that, I'm sure there was a decent grieving process that went along with stopping and figuring out, okay, what am I going to do next?
So true. Yeah, and it's like losing a family member or something. It was a bizarre
Mm-hmm.
experience. There's no doubt about it. But like I said, looking back, it was so many things I took away from it. Another amazing thing that I'm really proud of, and I guess just grateful for is building one large company is an incredible
Mm-hmm.
experience. But you always
Mm-hmm.
question yourself, like, was it luck? Are you a one hit wonder? Like, what are you really capable of?
Mm-hmm.
When I was able to just realign and then not immediately, but over the period of 12 months, we
Mm-hmm.
launched Relentless Education. We did 1.6 million in the first 12 months, and it was just
Hell yeah.
another tick of confidence that you got
Yeah.
the skills. You can do it again and again and again. And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. The more that you do, the more competency you gain, the more
Mm-hmm.
confidence and faith and trust that you can really do and be whoever you want to be, as long as you don't give up and keep moving forward.
Yeah. Well, not giving up, I think that is a great segue to my next topic, because I wanted
Mm,
to talk to you about consistency.
mm,
Because ever since we have connected and I started following you on Instagram, I now can count on that there's going to be an Andy Anderson video every single morning when I get up. You're right there with some motivational topic, just quick to the point, but it is every single day you are showing up for your following with some nugget of wisdom. So how did that all start up, and how did you get rolling on that type of content?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've always done content. It's changed over the years. I used to be more motivation and fitness based. Now I'm definitely
Mhm.
more business and motivation and mindset.
Mhm.
But sharing the message, I feel is really important. And I guess my main goal out of that is to help people through their day, just maybe get like one little dose of a spark, one little dose of, fuck,
Yeah.
I can do this. When they see, one of my pieces of content. So, that's the mission. But I guess the consistency behind it is one. I believe that if you're going to be in the market, if you're competing, if you want to grow a business, you need to earn trust and reciprocity within the marketplace. You cannot earn trust and reciprocity without consistency. I think consistency in every relationship, whether it's romantic, friendship, business, you and the market, you need to show up and be over-delivering and being consistent within that to show that you're trustworthy, to show that you're going to be there, and to be at front of mind. So, I do it for a multitude of reasons, but, I think the main one is consistency equals trust, reciprocity, and then eventually some of that will turn into business and at a bare minimum, inspire people to do something epic.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I think that sometimes too, even just hearing a little clip from somebody can change the way that you start to think about anything, whether it's your role at the company you work for, if it's the business that you're starting for yourself, if it's how you view yourself and how you're going to approach your own life and your own day. So I definitely, think that what you're putting out into the world has a lot of value. So I think it's pretty cool.
Appreciate that.
So relentless education, obviously I feel like that's part of your daily motivational gems. So tell me more about how you came up with the idea and how you guys got rolling there.
Yeah. So look, relentless education is the brainchild of me and my business partner, Matty Lavaz, one of my best mates as well. And, through the whole COVID, I don't know if I can say that word on here. It's going to.
Oh, of course, yeah. You can say. You can tell. No, I think at this point, we have different. We've had conversations. I've had conversations on here. Oh my God, I bet. I know. I think I told you when we very first met that, I remember seeing videos of how, you guys were much more extreme for a longer duration than different states were out here. So, but no, I mean, I've had conversations on this podcast where we kind of now it's like this delineating moment in time where it's like pre-COVID, post-COVID, and it's like we all have that. Okay, yeah. Now, yes, I know what period of time you're speaking about when we were over here, and now we're over here.
Right, totally. Well, as long as the algorithm doesn't punish us, we're all good. But again, through that period of time, both me and Matty were. He was running one of the largest life coaching institutes in Australia. I was running my other businesses, bricks and mortar mainly, and we'd always been really close for many years. We were talking a lot about what was going on, both angry, both like this and that, and we were looking to do something online from a coaching space. And look, I'd been coaching people in business for years and years. He'd been doing a lot of life coaching, leadership coaching. And so it made sense for us to collaborate. So we came together. We built out this baby, Relentless Education. And it's been such a gift, an amazing journey. We've helped so many amazing coaches of all different niches, coaches, consultants, experts, scale to 7 figures and beyond. And it's been an incredible journey and something I'm really, really happy that I did.
That's wonderful. Do you guys, so you just said coaches of all types. So if you were give me some examples of people that come through your programs.
Yeah, totally. So we've got marketing agencies, we've got leadership coaches, life coaches, fitness coaches, really any consultants or experts in their field. We've helped a wide range of individuals. We've got some TV celebrities from Australia that we coach for their speaking gigs and things of that nature. But we predominantly focus on the business model behind the skill, as well as the sales and the marketing, and then the team building and scaling. So really, really business focused. We do talk about mindset and the psychology side, but we're very implementation based. We do a lot of done for you elements in regards to tech and automations and sales as well.
Awesome. So do you guys work with people individually or businesses individually, or do you offer coaching, workshops or stuff like that?
We do a combination, yeah. So we do have a few levels of programs where we work one-on-one with individuals, but we have an array of workshops and programs we do as well. So we do a speaker training, we do advanced sales trainings, marketing trainings. Maddie's got a program called ISD, which is basically a life coaching certification. So we've got a few things that we do in regards to the coaching, but the business side, it is a combination of sort of the one-on-one and the workshop style.
That's great.
Hmm.
And do you market yourselves worldwide, or are you guys focused on Australian citizens, or how does that work?
Yeah, look, we've got clients all over the world, which we're extremely blessed to have. Our marketing predominantly is in Australia, though, aside from things like organic, the podcasts like this. But next
Mhm.
year, touch wood, we will be making a pivot to start marketing in the US. I'm going to spend a bit of time over there
Cool.
and really looking forward to hopefully changing some lives over in the US market. I'll have to come and say hello to you in Cali.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's really
awesome. That's exciting.
yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's got to be a big leap and a cool milestone to hit.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's always been a dream for me to get over to the US. I had that
Hmm.
vision when I had my gym chain. And,
Uh-huh.
now the vehicle's shifted, but the destination's still the same. So looking forward to getting over there.
Cool. So when you guys are coaching different folks, is it in a live environment, or do you have things where people can, buy a training that you have and they can go through it at their own pace?
Yeah, well, our programs are like one-on-one and hybrid group, sort of one-to-many styles. So we
Mhm.
have an incredible education portal with we've got over 100 hours of business coaching content, different strategies. We do the one-on-one, we do live classes. We've got an amazing group and community. So we're really able to leverage a multitude of support mechanisms to make sure that our clients get everything they need when they need it. And we just
Mhm.
find that that's the best business model to scale.
Nice.
Hmm.
So when you decided to team up together and go for this, did you have to raise any capital, or were you guys just able to say, "Hey, look, this is something we're going to do online. We're going to start it, as lean and mean as possible, get rolling, and then grow from there"?
Great question. This is why I freaking love the online space for the most part,
Uh-huh.
specifically the high ticket online space, because in all my previous businesses, bricks and mortar, the capital to get started is
Mhm.
extreme in some cases. Most of my
Yeah.
gyms were 100 to 150K rent. Some of them were 200K.
Wow.
My nightclub and restaurant was $250,000 rent per year. Just insane. You've got all the
Dang.
equipment
Yeah.
costs. You've got 10, 20 staff to start off with.
Mhm.
It's really hard to launch bricks and mortar businesses like that. With the high
Mhm.
ticket online space, you can really bootstrap it and start with minimal capital and
Mhm.
very quickly grow into something quite amazing. And that's why this opportunity is so incredible across the board. So to answer your question specifically, no, we didn't have to raise capital. We invested a little bit into ads and getting it off the
Sure.
ground, but we made some organic sales first, which sort of funded that. And then we put the money into
Mhm.
ads, then scaled our online advertising, and it sort of just started to skyrocket from there.
That's so wonderful.
Mm.
I know it really is this world that we're living in. I feel like technology and social media, in some ways, it can be very negative, but for the most part, it's so incredibly positive. I mean, look at now, like you and I would never have crossed paths given
Yes.
our geographic locations, right? And now we're able to have this cool conversation, tell your story. Anybody in the world could stumble upon it, and that's like so exciting.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, and now with AI coming out, it's never been
Hmm.
easier to really build and launch and scale and automate businesses. And, you know,
Hmm.
I love working with teams. I love people, but also they can be a drain and challenging on businesses when you're starting out initially as well. So for all
Hmm.
the solo entrepreneurs that want to scale, it's never been a better time because you don't need 10 team members to fulfill and deliver and
Right.
automate. You can really do the same as you would with 20, 30 people with just you and a VA. And it's an
Hmm.
incredible time. And so I think we need to look at it like that, although the world's chaotic at times, hopefully not. Definitely, it is a beautiful time to be an entrepreneur.
I agree with you absolutely. There is one of the things that I've been paying attention to as I've been learning from a lot of different entrepreneurs is the ones who are really going after it and trying to fail fast and scale quickly. They've really defined, who's in charge of what, who's doing what, and then we're just pedal to the metal, each of us owning what we own, regrouping at, a certain cadence, but it's like go time.
Totally, yeah. And it's the only
Yeah.
way to do it. You've just got to keep that momentum going, and when you have that momentum, don't rest and relax on it. Keep
Yeah.
building that up because it's through that energy that great things are created.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I do want to go back to you. I want to go back to the gyms though and ask about that because I, know that a gym space, number one, they're usually pretty big. So you have to get everything sorted out on the inside. There's a lot of equipment that is not inexpensive to buy. I mean, I remember when COVID hit and I was buying stuff for a home, a garage gym, and it was very minimal. I still easily spent, a couple $1,000s getting certain things. So when you were starting that out, did you start it out intending for it to grow to as many locations as it did, or did that just start happening?
Yeah, look, I did actually have the intention. We launched our first gym location. It was a massive facility. Looking back, it was insane. I was absolutely naive,
Uh-huh.
but we pulled it off. Thank God. It was just
Uh-huh.
we blew the whole 500K on the fit out. We had no money for
Uh-huh.
marketing after that. The first year was just a slog trying to, the first 100 clients, I was literally on the street in this red morph suit, running around, getting phone numbers and details, scaring people at the lights, joking with them, getting the details, running back, calling them, hey, come in for a
Oh
membership.
my gosh.
And that's how we got the first
Amazing.
100, 150 members to our gym. And then
Hmm.
eventually there was a tipping point and we started to really ride this wave of momentum and we grew.
Yeah.
But it was an intention for me from the start. I always had a really big ambition and dream to grow beyond actually 18 gyms. I wanted to have hundreds and
Wow.
if not thousands of gyms.
Uh-huh.
But, again, looking back now, the model to achieve the goals that I truly do want to achieve actually wasn't the right model. So, everything
Hmm.
happens for a reason. But I
Totally.
had a passion for fitness. I had a passion for psychology and helping people and transforming their bodies and their minds. And it was the perfect
Hmm.
vehicle for me at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So okay, so let's talk about a little bit about fitness. I had to I'll be honest with you, I had to look up what the acronym WBFF stands
Okay.
for. And so I wrote it down just so I don't screw it up. World Beauty Fitness and Fashion.
Yes.
I like how it was described as glamour of a beauty pageant with the tenacity of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So that is an interesting description. So tell me how you chose to go that route and what you did there.
Yeah, well, look, I always loved, fitness, bodybuilding. I was obviously a PT and working in the gyms, and I was always working on myself. So I love
Mhm.
bodybuilding style training, and
Mhm.
and then I don't know how I came across the first comp, but I think I just saw some competitors and thought I need to challenge myself. I want to have a go. So I
Okay.
did. I did my first comp, and it was addictive. Just
Okay.
the process, who you
Mhm.
become through that process, I value a lot.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
and then of course, the high of getting on stage and things like that. So for me, it
Mhm.
was about setting some exciting goals, and being over here in little old Australia, going over to the US to compete was a exciting
Oh,
vision for
okay.
me. And so
Uh-huh.
I started, setting goals to go over to Chicago, Atlanta,
Oh,
LA,
cool.
competing over there, and that was really motivating for me to stay focused on my fitness. And then I also used it as a marketing tool as well, which worked really well. And that's how
Mhm.
I sort of got into it. And once I did a few comps, the next goal was to turn pro, and I wanted to become a
Yeah.
pro in the category. And so did comp after comp, trying to get that elusive pro card. And I flew
And
over.
what is
So yeah.
what does pro mean for those of us, myself included, who don't know what pro means
Yeah,
in
so
that arena?
basically there's two main levels. Amateur is sort of people that are starting out or really getting into the game. You don't make
Mhm.
money, you don't compete for money. You're really just spending
Okay.
money at that level. And
Okay.
yeah, and you're not really competing against the elite of the elite. Once you get your pro card, it's
Got
the
it.
entry point into competing with the best in the world, and it's a bit of a
Oh,
different ball
okay.
game. So then you can also win money and get
Mhm.
high paid sponsorships and things like that. Mm.
Okay, got it. So yeah, I think that the two things that are most shown, I feel like, or to those of us outside of the world of bodybuilding, is how incredibly spray tanned you get before a competition, and then you often see videos of people eating just ridiculous things once it's over because the cutting process is so
Yeah.
extreme, and you're down to X amount of calories per day.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your meal post comp?
Oh, great question. I love I go in little phases of naughty treats, but I think I delved into some delicious donuts was one of them, and I do
Okay.
remember going out and getting pizza after as well. So They were like the two main things. But I tried very hard not to get in that pattern of just binging for the next week or two, because your body
That's
just
good.
does not handle it. You crash mentally and emotionally and physically when you do that. So I had a little treat afterwards, especially after my pro card. I had a little celebration, and then after that I got back on the grind and stayed consistent.
Yeah, good for you. I can only imagine after eating so clean for so long that when you have like, an abundance of sugar right away, you probably get that initial rush, but then you might feel pretty bad after.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's not good for you. You definitely feel it in an enhanced way, and you crash just as hard as you go up. So I don't recommend it, but it's part of the culture. It's part of the game, and I
Right.
think the best competitors try not to binge too much. They just have a little treat. It becomes second nature as well. I eat pretty much the same as I'd eat in competition phase now anyway, because I'm just so
Okay.
used to that lifestyle. So
Hmm.
it becomes not too different when you do it long enough. Mm.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. So how many years were you competing? How long did it take you to get your pro card?
Yeah, it took me about 5 years to get my pro card, give or take. So
Wow. Nice.
yeah, so I started competing, did my first comp in Australia, then started going over to the US to compete, and then booked in an amateur show in Chicago, which I was really excited
Hmm.
about. And I remember going over there, and I was in the best shape I'd ever been in, but I was so fatigued by the couple of
Oh.
days before that I just started doubting myself, And I remember
Oh
it was so
no.
funny. I've never done a show where I'd looked so good and doubted myself so much. And
Oh
I
my gosh.
yeah, and I almost bailed. I was like, I'm not good enough to be here. I was just the negative self talk was not
Oh.
good just because the energy was so low. But I
Hmm.
kicked myself in the ass, made sure I got refocused and showed
Yeah.
up, did the do, and luckily I came away with the win, and it was a good lesson for me just to not doubt
Hmm.
myself and make sure that I show up whether I feel like it or not.
No, I love that because that really shows like a high level of self-awareness
Mm,
to actively acknowledge, hey, I'm feeling this way, like my negative self-talk is at an all-time high.
mm,
I mean, even to think about like should I even be here? Should I quit? Should I not go and
mm,
compete even though I made it all the way here and I'm literally sitting in the hotel room, right? But then to take it and be able to reflect back
mm.
and look at what you learned and what you got through. What self-awareness is something I talk about on a very regular basis. I'm sure there's probably some people in my circle who are like, okay, we know. Um, but I really do think that self awareness is like the first step to change. And it's the
Yes.
first step to becoming who you ultimately are capable of being and having that level of self awareness where no matter in what aspect of your life, it just really plays a very pivotal role into how you're showing up.
So true. I mean, you can't fix and adjust what you avoid, right? So when
Hmm.
we're facing reality and the truth around how we feel, how we think, looking at it, and then being able to judge it and adjust it and optimize it from that point forward, it's the only way to truly change. And so
Hmm.
I think the brave thing to do, the intelligent thing to do, is to sit with it, face it, acknowledge it. Don't identify with it specifically, just understand that it is
Yes.
part of the human condition, and then also know that you've got the ability to adjust, pivot, and change. And if you have that
Hmm.
mentality, you will win. You will come out the other side a better person.
Oh, I love what you just said about change because it is so true. And I saw this quote a few months ago, and it said something about like, don't worry about anybody who is no longer a part of your life because they know a version of you that no longer exists.
Mm,
And I was like, oh, that's so profound because if we are constantly working on ourselves and constantly evolving, it's like, yes, I mean, maybe there's some core fundamentals of who we are that are the same, right? But I know that this version of me, if somebody hasn't talked to me since this time last year, they'd
mm.
be like, "Oh, whoa! Like, what'd you do within the last year?" You
What,
know?
what, and what that's such good feedback for you that you are just on this constant trajectory of growth. And when you're getting
Yeah.
that response from people, you should be proud of yourself. Some people think it's a negative. It's so not. It's such a positive,
Hmm.
and if you are getting that feedback, it means you are in leaps and bounds growing unlike anyone else around you. So it's such a win.
It is such a win. I think, I feel like I'm at this place where I'm just so curious about everything and I want the feedback on so many different things. I was actually a guest on a podcast earlier today, which is such a fun thing that's starting to happen for me. And I'm like, oh, I just get to join the Zoom. Like I don't have to do all this research and prepare and have all my questions and keep on my eye on the time. Like this is great. But it was really fun to have the conversation and like talk about some of the things that like are really important to me at this point in my life. So I love having folks on like yourself that can share their, nuggets and their, pieces of how you got to where you are.
Totally.
So tell me about the entrepreneurship community in Australia. Are there a lot of entrepreneurs? Is it, do you guys have a good community there?
Yeah, there are so many great entrepreneurs over here. It's a big thing over here for sure. Entrepreneurship businesses, a lot of great thriving young entrepreneurs coming up, and some really good individuals, especially where I live here on the Gold Coast now. So I moved away from Victoria after the chaos happened, and I went up to sunny Gold Coast, which is a beautiful part of Australia. Best decision I ever made. Anyone over in the US that wants to come over here, come to Queensland, come to Gold Coast.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, tick that one off. But look, it's thriving. People are learning rapidly. They're hungry. I think globally, though, there's just a huge shift towards entrepreneurship. A lot to do with a lot of the leaders in your part of the world that really glorify it, but just show the reality of it and how to do it, which is amazing. You got people like Gary Vaynerchuk and all these other cool legends from over there that just show what life can be like if you take a risk, if you bet on yourself, and if you believe in yourself. So I think it's had a profound impact across Australia as well. But long story short, a lot of amazing entrepreneurs here. Shout out to any Aussies listening, and it's only getting better.
Oh, that's so great to hear. I think that we are at such a cool time. I was talking to my dad yesterday about all the things that I have going on right now. And I was saying how I'm so grateful to be alive and at the like kind of peak of my life and being right now, because, gone are the days where you graduated from college and you got a 9-to-5 and that was all you did. It's like now, like there are people who do have 9-to-5s, but they're like, oh, I also do this and I also do that. And I'm an influencer or I have a podcast or I do VA work or whatever it may be. And with, again, like we touched on just a little bit earlier with like all this technology where we can connect to people literally all over the world with just like the join of a button, right? And we're able to learn from one another and work together. And it doesn't matter that like we can't have coffee together in person in the morning because we can still build something really, really great.
Yeah, so true. So true. And like you just mentioned, never before has it been easier to have a side hustle and make passive income, recurring income, and have a job as well. It's an incredible time. And I think, the world, especially after COVID, I think people here definitely, I don't know what it was like in America, but people definitely felt a little bit tarnished, negative. I think the optimism dipped a little bit. And I think it's time that we sort of take that back. We take the optimism back. And we remember that with everything that's happened, there has still never been a better time to be the best versions of ourselves. We are living in the greatest time in history if we choose to make it so. It's our decision. We can either live in the best time and make it the best time, or we can live in the past, feel in the past, and let it run us and ruin us. And so I hope that everybody listening, and I know you preach and teach this, chooses to take optimism as their card and move forward.
Definitely. Yeah, I know. I feel like that's one thing you and I definitely have in common is the glass half full mentality. I actually have a sign that I had hanging in a guest bathroom at my old house where it said, like there's always a silver lining. And sometimes I get almost annoyed with myself because I'm like, well, what am I learning from this? And I'm like, sometimes you can just be really mad, but I'm always like, what am I learning? What's the silver lining? We're going to get there.
Totally. You need that mindset, but I'm very similar. I always ask the question, what's the lesson I should learn here? What's the gift that this is giving me? And I think Napoleon Hill said something like, there is always an equal gift in every adversity, right? So there's always that equal opportunity in every adversity that you face. And if you've got that mentality to look for the opportunity within adversity, you'll freaking find it,
Absolutely.
And why would you not choose that option when the alternative is just adversity, pain, sadness. If you can be the person that has to face it anyway, face it and grab the lesson, grab the gold and win and move forward.
Definitely. It's like, I always say too, it's like the time is going to pass anyway. So how do you want to spend that time? Right? Do you want to spend it miserable? Do you want to spend it like wallowing in a failure? Or do you want to say like exactly what you just said? Okay, what's the lesson here? What can I learn? How can I move forward with this and go?
Yeah, exactly right. This is the difference that makes a difference, I think, in just being successful. Whatever success means to you, I think at a foundational level, being successful means feeling successful. You don't need $1 million. You don't need to have a Ferrari. But if you feel freaking good and solid within yourself, then you are successful. And it's that mindset that we just discussed that will be the catalyst for that feeling.
Absolutely. So here's a question that I always ask every entrepreneur that comes into my studio, because I love hearing what everybody has to say. If you had a piece of advice for an aspiring entrepreneur or for yourself when you were just starting out, based on all that you've been through and all you know now, what would that be?
Great question. Look, first and foremost, I would figure out the direction that I want to go in and find someone who has walked that path. Find a mentor, find a guide, find someone that can help you cheat code the process to success so you're not fumbling too much that you get disillusioned, because that's usually the thing that holds people back. I've seen it so many times. So find the person that has walked the path that you can emulate and model, and then do that thing and do not question it. Just freaking do it. That's going to be point number one. And then I think point number two would be to make sure that you are focusing on taking care of your mental health and physical health so you can have the capacity and the energy to face the battles, the uncertainty, the challenges the business is going to throw at you. If you do not have the mental and emotional bandwidth to handle adversity or challenges or problems, you will fail or not move forward. It's that simple. So I really see this so much clearer now that I work with so many entrepreneurs. The ones that truly charge forward and win are the ones that have the mental and emotional energy to charge and to fight and to face a problem and do it with a smile and keep moving forward rather than getting deflated. So those would be the biggest takeaways that I would suggest.
No, thank you. That's really valuable. There's a real estate agent based in New York here. His name is Ryan Serhant. He's built a massive brokerage, massive business for himself. And I think he's just full of so much wisdom. One of the things that he said a few years ago that really stuck with me is, he's very routine. He gets up at like 4:30 every morning and goes straight to the gym. And his whole thing with that was like, hey, this is the hardest thing that I'm going to do all day long. So I know that if I can get through this physical challenge, that anything that comes to me, any email, any deal that starts to go south, he's like, I'm going to be able to get through it because I already went and challenged myself in a way that to him, he was like, this is so hard. So I can tackle anything if I can get through that workout. And I loved that.
Yeah, so true. I mean, I think that the more that we can put ourselves in difficult, uncomfortable, challenging, hard situations, the stronger you're going to be in just normal situations. I mean, it's that simple. You're conditioning yourself to handle challenge. You're toughening yourself up. And, I do this through different means, whether it's skydiving or training or whatever it may be. Yeah. And I do that specifically just to build the mental and emotional strength and physical strength to handle these problems so I can keep growing and building things that I want to build. So there's so much truth in that. And I just suggest to everyone, get uncomfortable every day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, whatever it is, but it will make you better on the other side of that.
Definitely. Well, Andy, it's been such an awesome conversation. I have loved talking to you. I'm sure we could go easily for another hour. But while we wrap this up, why don't you let everybody know how they can get in contact with you and learn more about Relentless Education?
Amazing. Well, look, you can check us out check out my Instagram, Andy_I_Anderson. Also, check out Relentless Education at relentlesseducation.com.au. And they're probably the best 2 spots to find me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And thank you everybody who is listening and tuning in. And as always, Andy's contact info will be in the show notes. And thank you for being here, subscribing, liking, commenting. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please reach out to me and we will see you next week.